And here we are in Monroe, Louisiana. Look at this giant vacant lot. Guess what used to be here? 2 hotels that are at least 105 years old. Well, that last lot had no trespassing signs on it, so I passed it up for the time being, but this lot here looks interesting, and I've got a hole poked out. That's a pretty good looking creek. Let me check it out. After 5 or 6 hours of looking for a privy here in Mineola, Texas, I have failed until just now. Finally found one out here. Well, it's not producing much, just a bunch of bricks and pieces of rusty metal. Well, I give up. It has very little glass, just a few shards. They were just from the late 30s or early 40s. I'm here in Mineola, Texas, and I've probed about 10 lots, and I finally found a privy. It was in such an odd spot it took a long time. Well, so far so bad. I'm down 3.5 to 4 feet. Haven't found any bottles yet. Just a couple plate shards and bricks. Alright, I'm starting to get into some crunchiness. I just found the first piece of glass. It looks like a whiskey that would be from about 1915 or 16 or 17. Alright, I just uncovered a bottle. Looks fairly old. Well, no, not really. It's a corker, but it's probably about 1920 or 21. I'm not so sure it's really even a privy. It's got an odd shape to it. I'm down 4.5 feet. I just pushed a 4-foot probe to the handle and still haven't hit the bottom. Alright, I got a bottle finally. Big enough it could be a soda. But of course it's just a ketchup. Pretty old though. Looks like it could be blown in a mold. It's definitely from the teens. Alright, I'm wondering about this brick line right here. These are all together. And they're curving under here, which would indicate it could be a cistern. That would explain why it's so huge and doesn't have any square dimension to it. It doesn't really have very many bottles in it considering how big it is, but since this is the only hole I can find in town and there's some really rare stuff from here, I shall continue. Alright, I got a jar top showing here. Well, it's just a clear, unembossed, and severely damaged. Just what you would expect in a neighborhood like this. Yeah, I'm digging on the wrong side of the tracks as usual. Okay, I'm 6 feet deep on this side now. Still probes all the way down to the handle. I'm about to give it up because it's so sparse and it's not quite old enough. Well, maybe I spoke too soon. This is a blown in the mold pharmacy I just pulled out of the sidewall. So I guess I'll try a little bit more. Yeah, it's definitely a cistern. It just caved in on my leg. And you can see how it flares out like a brick-lined igloo underground. It's a shame it had to have so few bottles in it. There was another blown in the mold one. But I'm not going to dig a cistern that only has 12 bottles in it from 1915. Well, again, too much work for too little pay. This would have been a 9-hour dig if I'd have decided to dig the whole thing out. I only dug about 1/3 of it at the most. So now I'm going to go back to finding the privy if I can. Alright, I'm in Gladewater, Texas. There's a big ravine that runs along the side of this town, and I'm going to go check it out because it looks like it has a lot of potential. As you can see, there is a lot of small houses and a bottling works. This is a very late map though, it's from 1934. But this is what the area looks like right now. That's where the bottling works was, and all those little cabins right there. And all through here. It's very overgrown, but there certainly has to be some bottles out there somewhere. I'm gonna go probe around. The first Texas cop of the trip.
How you doing, sir?
Pretty good.
How you doing? Officer Terrell, Glenwater Police Department.
Okay.
Somebody called and said you parked your van down there. You know, down on the street, kind of in the intersection. I don't know, but I seen you pulling out of there.
Well, I was on the side.
Can you tell me what your business is?
I have an old map that shows some old structures and an old soda bottling plant on that vacant piece of land to the left. So I was just looking over there because I collect old bottles.
Okay.
And it wasn't fenced or marked with no trespassing or any structures on the land, so I didn't see any problem with it.
Alright. But yeah, I saw your van a little while ago over on Howard Street too. Just you're parked in again, it's a one-way street. You're parked the wrong way. You know what was going on there?
Well, that cop was pretty nice actually. Now I'm in Pittsburg, Texas, and this spot looks pretty interesting. I'm gonna check it out. Alright, some vacant lots over here that had several houses from at least 1906. I just poked out 3 privies in 10 minutes and 1 trash pit, and they all have glass in them. I'm just afraid to dig them. Well, 1899 house, we got permission to dig. Yeah, that's what I thought it was too.
Yeah.
Got a 1939 olive oil.
Yeah, pretty cool looking.
It's a big hole, but it's just, you got it open so tiny right now, but it's about a 7-foot square. Like a cellar that's been filled in, I guess. Well, I guess if we're both going to dig separate holes, it's worthwhile, but generally I wouldn't want to dig a hole this late if we have potential for something older.
What's going on, man?
Alright, what is it?
Just had a call about you.
Okay.
Had some pilgrim workers over here wondering. They just saw the van. They didn't know if you might have been advertising or what was going on, so we're just going to check on you.
Okay. Alright, I just got permission to dig behind a hotel. It's been gone for at least 50 years and there's a modern house on it now, but I probed about 700 spots in the backyard and I finally found the privy. Hopefully the old woman isn't going to change her mind, because I would really hate if that happens. Alright, here's what it looks like now. Let's see what it looks like in an hour. I don't even know what this is. It's got a brick wall here and it's curving underneath like a cistern. But if it is, it's an odd shaped one. Or else it's got a very huge dimension to it. Yeah, with the curvature like that, this must be about a 17-foot round hole. And now I got this giant rock or cement piece coming out. Well, I'm not liking this one. It's got cement pieces down there, and it's a very odd hole. I don't know if it's a cistern or what, but finally I got a piece of glass out. Looks like an early 40s square mason jar. It was down 3 foot 6 inches, so I'm probably gonna fill this one in and try and find a different one. Oh yeah, and it has a lot of breaks in it too. They're very hard to get out of there. So definitely time to quit this one. Not feeling any glass hardly at all, and it's just too modern anyway. Well, I filled it pretty good. Now on to the next one. This one's extremely small. It's only about a 16-inch square, about 16 inches deep. Well, it definitely has glass, but it's melted. Must be just a small burn pit. Well, there's only about 10 pieces of broken glass in here. And I'm pretty well finished already. Can't even tell how old they are really, but everything's pulverized, and I had high hopes for this property, but I shall continue to probe some more. Well, here's the third hole. It's got a lot of bricks in it too. It's almost on the bottom already. It's only about a 2.5 footer. Got one shard of glass. Can't really tell how old it is. But I'm about to give up on this one too. There's a really well done Coke sign. Must be a 100-foot long one. Yep, somebody sure knew how to paint a sign properly. There's another great sign.